What's going on, guys? Figured it was about time for another weekly shop update for you. Got quite a few things going on in the shop here this week. A number of things I want to talk about and go over. One of which you may have already noticed, and I'll just jump right in, is that I went ahead and changed my channel name. And I guess if you want to get specific about it, I've really changed my company or business name, if you want to call it that. I kind of hesitate to use the term company or business as this isn't really a full-time gig for me. It's not like I have a tax ID or anything like that. Hopefully the IRS isn't watching, right? But I've decided to go ahead and drop AR Custom Knives in favor for something a little bit more personal, a little bit more specific, and something that includes my name, which is Riley, Andrew Riley or Drew Riley. And I've gone ahead, as you could see, if you look at my YouTube handle, I've changed it to Riley Knife and Tool. And it's something I've been thinking about for a while and kind of debating, even for well over a year now, or even probably the last few years, kind of going with something, like I say, a little more personalized. I've had AR Custom Knives for probably over 10 years now. And I know there's a lot of people that have found me and follow me through that name. Hopefully it's not going to be a big to-do, in that I changed it, or, hopefully it doesn't confuse too many people. But I have gone ahead and changed not only my YouTube, but my Instagram, my Facebook page. I am soon going to be changing my webpage, if anybody even knows that I had one. I've got arcustomknives.com, where I've posted a couple of galleries of my work. In the past, I've had some things up for sale on it. Really haven't done a good job keeping up with it at all, to be honest, but I'm hoping to change it from AR Custom Knives to RileyKnifeandTool.com. And then I also hope to be a little bit better with keeping up. I actually logged into it for probably the first time in a year or so last night, and I had about 900 some comments or messages on my dashboard. 99% of which, as anybody with a website likely knows, most of which were spam and just broken links to stuff I don't even want to click on. So that being said, there were the occasional inquiries about stuff I make or videos I had on YouTube. Hence actually the recent video I just put up on the channel about that tracking mechanism or modification that I did for my grinder, based off of the Reader designed dual axis tracking mechanism. And, there were a handful of other comments that I needed to kind of keep up with and read. Like I said, I've been doing a bad job at keeping up. So I'm hoping once I get it changed over, I can get it a little bit more consistent, hopefully with keeping it updated with content, maybe putting some things up for sale on it occasionally, and really trying to utilize that. I think it's something I've obviously severely underutilized, and just something I really need to kind of buckle down and get figured out a little better. So all that said, instead of AR Custom Knives, I will now officially be Riley Knife and Tool. I do also plan on maybe getting some business cards, stickers, maybe even some merch, t-shirts or what have you made that I'd like to make available, especially little things like stickers or cards to include with different things I'm selling or shipping out. So that's definitely a priority for me right now. I do need to design a new logo. Now, I will probably keep the AR logo. It's something, I like. I designed that a long time ago. And, I used to even mark it on my knives, although it's been a while since I've done one. It's clean. It's somewhat unique. I think it's recognizable. I've gotten some compliments on it. It's probably something I'll hang on to. It is my initials, still my initials, but I did want to change to something that incorporated my name, as I think it is a little bit more personal and arguably a little bit more memorable as well. you know, I am trying to build a brand, trying to get my name out there. And I think having my actual name incorporated into my brand is just a better option all around than just AR Custom Knives, which could stand for anything. You know, especially if somebody's trying to find me. Yeah, what was that guy's name again? AR something. I mean, like I say, it could be anyone or anything. And there's other AR knives or AR Custom Knives, AR Knife Works, you know, so on and so forth. I've actually been confused for a couple of other knife makers or companies in the past. Not to say there aren't other knife makers named Riley or with the last name Riley. There certainly are. One actually is a journeyman smith with the ABS, makes some really good stuff, and was maybe one of the reasons, you know, 10 or so years ago that I went with AR Custom Knives instead of Riley Custom Knives, because I didn't at the time want to get confused with him or step on his toes. Well, I kind of thought about that more and more over the years, and that was maybe the wrong way to go about things. And, you know, I've been around for a while now, and, you know, it's about time my actual name maybe gets a little bit more recognition, hopefully. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Hopefully I don't confuse anybody who follows me or, you know, might be looking for AR Custom Knives. But it is going away, and like I said, I am hoping to kind of build that brand maybe a little bit better than I did the AR Custom Knives. So it's a work in progress, but that is one thing we're working on this week. Another thing I'm working on, and I can show you here, is more shop knives. Seems like I'm getting quite a few inquiries about these, a lot of really positive feedback. So I've actually got what probably looks like a bigger pile than it is of in-progress shop knives. These have all been profiled on my CNC router. Pretty much rough sanded them, taken the tabs off. They need a little bit more cleanup, some buffing. I'm also in the process of making the clamp pieces that hold the blade in place. I'm going to have black linen micarta, which is this right here. I've got brown, small handful of brown linen. I'm going to do just a couple, maybe 3 or 4 of these red and black linen micartas. That'll be kind of a limited run, as well as 2 hunter orange, 1 or 2 of these. And then I'm also going to have hopefully a couple OD green micarta or canvas micarta. So right now I'm trying to finish up, like I say, the little clamp pieces. I got a few more of these to make. Still quite a bit of handwork. You know, believe it or not, I'll just address this shortly or quickly. There's quite a bit of work that go into each of these knives. You know, I've actually thrown quite a few away, not being happy with the finishes or, you know, real minor mistakes that maybe people wouldn't even notice. And I've gotten a couple questions about the price. Right now they're priced at $65 plus shipping. And I don't include the shipping because if somebody wants to ask for a different shipping method, you know, that kind of gives a little bit of flexibility there, as well as if you order more than one, you know, I can kind of roll the shipping together. Just a little bit easier and better way, I think, to do it. But I got some questions about why $65 isn't that kind of a lot for a utility knife. You can go to the store and buy one for $5 or $10. That even retracts, right? But honestly, for the amount of handwork, the amount of time, the materials, the tooling, the production cost in and of itself, from electricity, you know, to if my machine screws up, you know, I had a motor kick out on me last week, and I'm not sure. Yeah, here you can see one. Here's 3 of them that got completely ruined because my gantry axis motor that would normally go back and forth, you know, while I guess it's the X-axis motor kicked out while the Y kept running. So it put a nice groove right down the middle there. And not only that, but I lost my zero reference, which led to some other changes in my process to avoid this. But basically, this whole piece of material is ruined, as well as those 3 shop knives. And, you know, that kind of thing happens, and you almost can't avoid it. But, you know, I've got to factor that in when I price these out. You know, if messing up 1 or 2 of them starts losing me money, then that's no way to run a business or try to sell a product. So, you know, between that, you know, the amount of handwork, the amount of time, the attention to detail, $65 is actually pretty cheap, especially for a unique product. You know, that's sole authorship, made right here in my shop. You know, I'm not contracting any of this out. It's pretty cheap for this type of product, and chances are actually pretty good that it's not going to stay that cheap. So, you know, it is what it is for now. You know, I want to get them out into people's hands. Like I said, I've been getting a lot of good feedback, even some repeat inquiries of people who already have one, want some more. So, you know, I'm just trying to make the best product I can here for the best price that I can sell it for. So just a couple of quick thoughts on that. But that's kind of the main thing I'm working on this week. And another thing I'm working on, just before we wrap this up, I am building a new heat treat oven. You know, along with these shop knives, I actually want to get back into making actual knives, which is kind of what started this whole thing. I've got some slip joint designs I want to get into. And in order to do that, I need to heat treat the blade steels. And unfortunately, the oven that I built, that I've been running for about 12 years now, it finally took a dump on me. I was actually mounting the control box to the wall to get it up off the bench and out of the way. And I bumped into the actual oven body, which... for the record, when I built it, I didn't build a shell around it, any kind of metal shell or frame. I basically just mortared some bricks together, stacked it on my steel-topped workbench, and that's how I've been using it since the beginning. As far as the door, it was just 4 or 5 bricks mortared together into like a rectangle to cover the opening. Put a piece of KO wool in between it as kind of a gasket. And I would just kind of push that in by hand and then slide it out of the way or flip it down with some gloves on, obviously, every time I wanted to get a knife in or out of the oven. And that's worked great. It's worked fine. This oven's done everything I've asked it to. But over the years, because of that lack of structure and just through use and heatings and coolings, the bricks had started cracking. The mortar joints have started coming apart. And I finally kind of caved the whole top end by accident last week, and just ultimately decided it's well past time, not only to make a new oven, but to do it the right way. So I've got steel ordered. I'm actually going to make a shell with a door and a latch and all that. Probably for now going to use the same control box. It's got a PID controller, nothing fancy, no ramping or soaking functions. Eventually, I will probably go to a tap controller, or there's 1 or 2 other touchscreen or programmable style PID controllers, PIDs out there. I'm thinking about they're about $300-400 just for the controller, not even including the enclosures, the other circuitry, transformers, relays. So on and so forth, switches, contactors, whatever, or breakers, all that stuff, that'll be another couple $100 easy. So probably not going to redo that right away. I'm just going to stay basic. I'm only doing like 1095, 8670, maybe some 01 or some other light tool steels. Keeping real basic with it, but I am going to still use the soft fire brick. I'm going to hang the elements from the top in this one like JT or Jared Todd with JT Knives did. I've ordered some fused quartz rods to hang elements from the top. I've already got an element The rods shipped today. I've got to cut those down, and then I'm going to stretch this out and hang a row. There'll be 16 rows, the way this works out, of top-mounted elements. So the oven should be about 6 by 6 as far as the opening, by about 27-ish deep, so a little over 2 feet deep. Should be more than enough for anything I'll ever want to heat treat in it. I might do some larger kitchen knives, fillet knives, things like that. It's nice to have that extra room. Maybe even like a machete or something, right? So that's going to be a big project. I'm hoping to get something up and running within the next couple of weeks. I've still got to get my brick. I've lined up a source in South Holland, Illinois. I believe they're open still for the pandemic and all that going on. So I've got to go pick those up, or I think shipping to my house from South Holland's only like $30 for, you know, the 30 or 40 bricks that I need. So I'll either ship it or pick it up after work, but yeah, the plan right now is to have, like I said, a 6 by 6 by about 27-inch long opening. I'll have a layer of ceramic insulation around that, and then the steel, mild steel shell with a swinging and latching door. And I'll use the same, it'll be an externally mounted controller. Probably just one thermocouple mounted somewhere around the middle for now. And then eventually I'll upgrade that probably to a dual thermocouple system and some kind of a touchscreen or a more programmable, more versatile control system, you know, as needs and funds allow. And I may even end up having to upgrade my support rods. Like I said, I'm using fused quartz, which melts at about 2700, way hotter than I ever need it. But I think the recommended operating temp is only like 2000 degrees or so, which for what I do now should be plenty of headroom for like 1095, 8670, 01, a handful of other steels I've been kind of playing around with. But, you know, that may need to be upgraded. We'll see how it works. I know there are other kiln makers who used fused quartz tubes to put the elements inside. These will be rods that actually the elements hang from. So it'll be an interesting little build, heavily based on, like I say, Jared Todd's design, but maybe done kind of in my own way. And definitely looking forward to showing you guys that and getting that back up and running. I'd really like to get some slip joints made here very soon. I've also got a couple of little like neck knife fixed blade ideas and designs I've been toying around with. I'd like to make a few of those. But again, I'm kind of dead in the water till that heat treat oven gets built. And it's really not worth trying to patch my existing one back together. In my opinion, I mean, I'd have to go buy some refractory mortar. I'd have to probably get some new bricks. I've got maybe half a dozen sitting off to the side here that I could use. But I'd rather use those for something else. So I'm just going to wait. Like I say, hopefully in the next couple weeks I can get that started and get everything in that I need. And it should hopefully tie together pretty quick. And since I've already got the control box, it'll just be a matter of connecting a couple wires and hit and go. So definitely look forward to that. Other than that, I'm going to keep working on these shop knives. Going to try to keep working on cleaning up the shop, getting a little more organized as well. That's just perpetual around here. The key is not making more of a mess than what you clean up, and that's kind of my hard problem there. But anyway, I'm going to try to keep these at or under 20, so we're right there. If anybody made it to this far, I do appreciate it, guys. I appreciate the views. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave some comments. Let's start a dialogue. Ask me some questions if you got any, and I'll see what I can do to answer them. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you.